Next group is the Drug Efficacy and Safety Research Group, led by Professor Dr. Naina Mohamed. So I believe the biography short. Okay. Associate Professor Dr. Naina Mohamed is Associate Professor in Medical Faculty, UKM, graduated with distinction in medicine from UKM in 2003 and joined UKM as a medical lecturer in 2005. He completed his master in clinical pharmacology and doctoral studies in medicine and therapeutics at the University of Aberdeen in 2006 and 2011 respectively. Upon return to Malaysia and UKM, he was invited to join UK Bone Metabolism Research and Cardiovascular Research team. He would later establish and head the UKM Pharmacoepidemiology and Drug Safety Unit and the UKM Drugs Efficacy and Safety Research Groups. Without further delay, I would like to invite Associate Professor Dr. Naina to give his presentation.
Right, thank you very much, Dr. Haikal. Assalamualaikum. Thank you for the gracious introduction. But actually, I guess this morning's talk doesn't really revolves around me. So I'd like to share what we do for the research group. It doesn't look right. Sorry. Okay. Okay. Is the slide full screen? Is it okay?
Yes.
The slides are okay. All right. Thank you very much again to Haikal. So I'm here to just share on the research group, Drug Efficacy and Safety Research Group. Okay, so just a little bit background on our research group. We are actually, I guess, I would say the youngest research group. So we just established in June 2022. However, we are a new research group, but actually we consist of three very well researched entities for a long time. So it's a combination of between the Antimicrobial Stewardship Unit, AMS, with the Hospital Chancellor HDN, Tuan Gung Chris, and then with the faculty, is a combination between Pharmacoepidemiology and Drug Safety Units, and also our Addiction Research and Recovery Group, ARG. So what happened is basically when we talk about, for example, AMS, I guess we are almost 8 years now, maybe 7, 8 years. And then when for the Pharmacoepidemiology and Drug Safety Unit, 10 years. And then for the ARG, maybe we are looking at around 5 to 6 years. So what happened is in between June, I would say maybe early this year and up to June 2022, we decided to come together, the three different research and also units, and to form the Drug Efficacy and Safety Research Unit, research group. So it's basically all three, and we have had a discussion, and then we agree, and then we come together to form one big research group, so that we can combine our resources, our personnel, and then work towards a better pathway. And actually, even prior to the establishment of this research group, frequently we had cross research by the teams. So we thought that why, and the personnel, actually most of the research group members are actually either one or two, or sometimes even all three of the separate research unit. So we thought, why not just let's combine together and create a new research group, and that's how the research group was born. So who is in the team? So the team, we have quite quite a number because, as I mentioned, we have expertise from the hospital and then two specific research group from the faculty. So we have a clinical pharmacologist, which is myself. We have scientists, we have neuroscientists, we have family medicine specialists, we have psychiatrists, public health, statistician, microbiologists, internal medicine specialists, infection control, pharmacists, anesthesiologists, and the list goes on. We also have our postdoctoral, we have our research officers, science officer, and of course, students. So if we look at our team, we are quite big. It's basically 3 research teams to 1. And even then, I couldn't fit quite a number of our team members are not in the picture because, as I mentioned, we just recently formed about 2 months ago. Okay, so I'll just give a quick overview. I mean, I can't really talk on each research and things like that because it will be quite a number. But let's go on the sub research units, and then I will just go through what we are doing. So for the addiction research, we have research in alcohol. We have one of the foremost alcohol neuroscientists, Professor Dr. Jaya, in the group. And even myself, we work a lot on alcohol, and we have published many papers on that. We are currently having a project as well on this front. We also look at neuroscience, genetics, epidemiology, treatment. As I mentioned, we have a few neuroscientists in our group. Smoking, we have a foremost smoking expert in our group as well, Dr. Rashidi from family medicine, and he not only conducts research but also stop smoking clinic for the HCTM. Substance abuse, that's one of my area where we do a lot of research on CNS stimulants, amphetamines, inhalants, CNS depressants, and etc. Actually, we just went to a conference 2 weeks ago on substance abuse in Malaysia, and we produce about maybe at least 2 or 3 papers on substance abuse every year. We also look at social media addiction, especially in the internet addiction, and we have published some paper on that as well. And of course, epidemiology. So it's one of our basic research in addiction, looking at the various epidemiology and addiction in Malaysia. We also actually have a close collaboration with Hussein and also AADK, which I have forgot to mention here. Pharmacology and drug safety unit. So it's one of our components as well. So this unit is actually headed previously by myself, and we focus on pharmacovigilance. We look a lot. So you can see there is slight overlap here, pharmacovigilance and AMS. So AMS is part of pharmacovigilance. And then we have a lot of antimicrobial research, looking at antimicrobial usage in the hospital, in KL, and also in Malaysia. We had one of the largest GP research, general practitioner research done in Malaysia, looking at reporting, and what are the reporting rates for general practitioners, and what are the common adverse drug reaction that we encounter in their practice. We do a lot of clinical trials as well. I guess we have conducted 3 clinical trials and also maybe participated in at least 5 more other clinical trials. So we have involved ourselves in, I guess, maybe 8 to 10 clinical trials. We are currently actively, we just completed 1 clinical trial with a grant of 1.6 million, and we also just got another clinical trial approved with a budget of 1.2 million, and hopefully we should start that later in the year, this year as well. Of course, we are also involved in drug development. Basically bringing ideas, product, especially traditional and herbal medicine, from the lab to the market. That's where we come in. And in this area, we have involved ourselves in developing drugs for bone metabolism, cardiovascular, wound. All right. Actually, we are meeting one company this Friday with our patent on wound, and hopefully it will be out in the market soon. Lipid research, and even cognitive research. So we have quite a number of research in the pipeline for drug development. We also look at pharmacoeconomics. Pharmacoeconomics basically looking at cost effectiveness and cost ratio and etc. In the practice, and of course pharmacoepidemiology, our basic research, looking at a wide variety. I can't really mention quite a number. From anti-diabetic drugs, lipid drugs, antihypertensive drugs, antimicrobial antibiotics, and etc. So we have looked at that, looking at the usage pattern, prescribing pattern, and etc. Adverse drug reaction, side effects, ADR, what other systems used in hospital, how and etc. So many when we talk about pharmacoepidemiology, we have done many research on this area. So what about AMS? So another unit that is a combination in our research group. So it's an active service unit with HCTM. So in the hospital, we do antibiotics rounds. I'm also part of the AMS group. We have CME at least once a month. Maybe some of you have attended the CME conducted by us. We come up with antibiotic guidelines for the hospital. Surgical prophylaxis, and etc. And of course, we have AMS programs, reduction of multi-drug resistant organism, monitoring of broad-spectrum antibiotics usage. We have our antibiotic rounds, and we also monitor especially broad-spectrum antibiotics like cephalosporin usage. We have our census audits, infection control is also with us, and many others. But of course, this is basically the servicing side. So not really part of the research group, but of course it's important because when we have the servicing side, it's easier for us to utilize the expertise, the rounds, the programs, and the wards, and etc. for our research. So for AMS, the main research component is actually we look at antibiotic usage and audits. We do that almost all the time. Antibiotic prophylaxis, we have a main project with currently ongoing with and also Pfizer as our sponsor, looking at surgical antibiotic prophylaxis, on the usage of antibiotics, whether it's appropriate or not, whether the timing is correct, whether the dosing is correct, and etc. And mainly whether sometimes even simple thing is whether the use of the drug, is it properly documented? And that's one main problem that we notice. Of course, we also look at rapid diagnostics, whether it helps with prescribing. So we just started this project looking at rapid diagnostics. Where we at the moment, if you send for blood culture to identify organism, you will get the result within 48 to 72 hours. So our aim is actually reduce that to 24 hours, and if we are able to cut down the time to 20 by at least 1 day, by at least 24 hours. So what will that impact be? So especially in ICU setting, sometimes in a patient with severe problems, severe burden of disease, if you're able to cut down the identification of the organism by 1 day, will it have effect on the outcome of the patient? And of course, when we look at that, we also look at cost and etc. So we also have septicemia and a lot of research in broad-spectrum antibiotics, as I mentioned. We are currently, one paper is currently being reviewed with minor corrections, and hopefully it should be published soon in the Journal of Antibiotics. So what is our strength, our research group strength? So we are among the largest research group, not surprising because it's basically a combination of 3 research groups in one. We have a lot of prominent and forefront members. As I mentioned, we have the main member for smoking, alcohol, infectious disease, microbiology, and etc. Family medicine, community medicine, addiction research. So basically, quite a large number of research members. We have very high research grants currently active. So I'm not talking about all research grants. I'm just talking about currently active grants. We have over 3 million ringgit in combination. So we are the only research group with a full-time postdoctoral and a research officer or a statistician. So we have two full-time members, fully employed, I would say, fully employed using research grant. So we have a postdoctoral and also a research officer who is also a statistician. We have a research. We also the research group. We are proper, fully equipped research office where we have a fully equipped PC. We have 3 PC. We have laser printers, scanners, tidbits, and etc. We have a high number of publications, Q1 and Q2 publications. So usually we have when we talk about Q1 and Q2, for example, just in the year of 2021, we have over 30 Q1 and Q2 publications. Usually on average, if you're talking about all publication, maybe around 40 to 50 publications every year. We have a high number of postgraduate students, not surprising because of the high number of our research group members. And we have a very good synergy between clinicians and non-clinicians. I would say, actually, maybe around 60, 65, 35 or 60, 40 between clinicians and non-clinician ratio. So it's a good number, and we work very well with each other. As I mentioned, even prior to the formation of the research group, each of our individual research unit, we actually already working closely with each other and working well, and therefore, why we thought of why not just let's come together and form this research group. So I guess I don't want to take too much of the time. Basically, just a brief overview on what is Drug Efficacy and Safety Research Group. Do feel free to join us. As I mentioned, we are a new group. We are always expanding. Feel free to reach out to us. And of course, if you have any collaboration project, any ideas, etc., in any of the areas that I've mentioned, especially if you're looking at drugs, or even not the area that I've mentioned, but if you have anything to do with drug efficacy and safety, please feel free to get in touch, and hopefully we can come up with something. So I guess that's it. Thank you very much. I pass back to Dr. Aika.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Dr. Naina.